Hey, house guests, welcome to today's Big Brother 24 updates and spoilers. I hope you're ready for a wild ride through the Big Brother house. Oh my God. Our house guests of the day are Taylor Harris and David Klein. Thank you both so much for the support. We could not do this without you, and we appreciate it so much. So thank you again. And if you guys want to be house guests of the day, check out our Patreon link in the info box below because it's only $1 for a holla. I need a little less headroom. Okay. And before we get started, I also want to thank yesterday's super chatters because that's another fantastic way to support our channel. So, Jody Cortez, Sophie Couch, Susan Pengilly, Corey P, Sean Davis, Alex PSX, Robert Smith, William Dang, Sean Davis, Carrie Walker, and Andrea Parker. Thank you all so much for your super chats yesterday. Oh my goodness. Like, I don't even know where to begin with today's I mean, I do. I have it all written down. But, oh my God. The last 20-ish, whatever, hours. Oh my God. Absolutely wild. So, let's just dive right in, shall we? Last night, it was a double eviction, baby. As expected, Jasmine and Joseph were both evicted by votes of 2-0. And then after that, we got to see a minute or two of the house guests reuniting. So I think Taylor and Monty were visibly unhappy when Joseph did not walk back in that house. They were upset. But now the fun begins, right? Because two sides, they got to catch up on what's been going on all week on the other side. So keep in mind, going into this reunion, the Dire Fest goers, Terrence, Alyssa, Turner, and Kyle have solidified a new 4-person alliance. They're calling themselves the After Party, and they were planning to lie about some stuff this week to cover up what really went down in the backyard. They were planning to claim that Joseph was the one that spilled about the leftovers when it was actually Kyle. They also planned to say it was just impossible to talk any game outside. They couldn't find any privacy, so Terrence made all of his decisions on his own. Sorry. Oh my God. That was like a double yawn. We didn't get to see an HOH competition on the episode. There was just too much other stuff going on, I guess. But thankfully, we did get to see the live feeds for a bit before they played the HOH competition. So when the feeds came back after the episode, Turner was in the shower. Kyle was chatting with him. Kyle was giving out instructions. He says to Turner, "We never spilled the beans about the leftovers." Right? Joseph might have, but we haven't heard anything. Alyssa and Terrence haven't said anything to us about it. A wink. Turner agrees to the plan. He's like, all right, if that's what we're doing, sounds good. So Kyle then goes into the kitchen where Monty is eating, and Kyle asks, "Are there any leftovers?" How dare you? I have a question for you. Number one, how dare you? We see what you're doing. Okay, so anyway, Brittany and Alyssa are chatting in the Jetsons' bedroom. We missed the beginning of this conversation, but Alyssa's telling Brittany, if there's anything you have questions about, just ask me and I'll give you an honest answer. 10 seconds. Brittany says that the info that she heard was always through Joseph. And I believe they were talking about the 5 swatters at this point because Brittany was giving her reasoning for why they evicted Jasmine. And I think she was explaining, like, look, we found out about the 5 Swatters Alliance. Like, I know you were in it too. So Alyssa says Joseph's info was bullshit. You know, he always made it sound like I'm some BB Savage, some persona in here. So Alyssa says maybe I should strategize more. I mean, we're at the halfway point now. I'm open to conversations, but that's also just like not who I am. Here goes Alyssa adding nothing to the game again. Seriously, you know how we'll say like somebody is doing the most? I feel like Alyssa is always doing the least. She just like does not add to the game. I mean, she adds to the game in the fact that Kyle is obsessed with her and like throws everybody else's stuff away for her. Like, I don't know. That's what I'm seeing. But anyway, Alyssa says that Joseph stretches the truth on a lot of things, and Brittany agrees with that. So Brittany is explaining more why she voted Jasmine out. She says, Jasmine broke my trust. Monty has not. So they agree they're closing chapter 1 and starting chapter 2. Chapter 2 is going to be a mess. But anyway, they discuss then what happened over at Dyer Fest, and Alyssa says Terrence spent most of the week in his bed, I guess his cot, and he had a lot of one-on-ones with Joseph. So, this is fabricating a little bit here. I mean, a bunch of people had one-on-ones with Terrence, but Alyssa says, I talked to Terrence a little bit, but there was no real privacy out there. So this is part of the story that everybody from Dyer Fest is sticking to. So Brittany asks, was Joseph Terrence's target, like from the beginning? What was going on there? And Alyssa's like, I think. So Alyssa says she's just happy that Kyle and Turner are both still there because she cares about them a lot. So they talk about how they both want to win HOH so badly. Okay. So then Turner and Monty chat over some Chinese checkers, and Monty says, well, it was super straightforward over at Brochella. So they start talking about Dyer Fest, and Turner says he was really surprised when he was nominated next to Joseph. Weren't we all? And Monty's like, yeah, I was not expecting Terrence to put you up on the block. I thought you two were super close. And Turner says, yeah, I guess he just like wanted to see if he could get any information out of me. But he says, I know I didn't say anything about the leftovers. I mean, you could ask Kyle. But Turner is saying their one-on-ones with Terrence were only like 10 minutes long apiece. Okay. So Turner says that Joseph was turning into Pooch towards the end of the week. He was going pretty nuts because he just like, he didn't have the votes, right? I mean, he was up against Kyle. There was no way that Alyssa was going to vote Kyle out, obviously. And then even if Turner did vote for Joseph to stay, Turner says Terrence put Joseph up on the block and left him up there for a reason, you know? So the chances of Terrence breaking the tie in Joseph's favor, pretty slim. So Turner says, what am I supposed to do there? You know, I really had no choice with my vote. So Monty says, yeah, your vote to evict Joseph made the most sense. I mean, there was nothing else that you could really do. So then Monty's like, so what about the Pound? Like, what's the deal with that? Remember, the Pound is the guys' alliance that was Monty, Joseph, Turner, and Kyle. So Monty is like, now, I mean, there's 3 of us still, but we don't have the majority within the leftovers. Now it's 3 versus 3, with the other 3 being Michael, Brittany, and Taylor. So we don't have that advantage that we had before. But Turner is saying he just hopes that one of the leftovers will win the HOH. And chances are pretty good for that because Terrence can't compete. And Alyssa is the only one that will be in the HOH competition that isn't in the Leftovers Alliance. So, I mean, if they can't beat her, then they deserve to lose that. You know what I mean? Like, so Monty says, or Monty asks Turner, do you know who you would put up if you win HOH? And he's like, would it be Terrence and a pawn? Would it be Terrence and Alyssa? Like, what are you thinking? And Turner's saying we could do either of those options. You know, it's just so easy. It doesn't matter. So Turner says, if everyone else is still on board for the leftovers, Kyle and I are as well. Are you? So Monty says he is still on board. And he says if he wins HOH, he would put up Terrence and Alyssa. They're not in the alliance. It's just easy, you know, don't have to put any leftovers in harm's way. Plus, if you only put up one of Terrence or Alyssa initially, if one of them wins the veto, if the one off the block wins the veto, they can use it on the one on the block, and then they would both be safe, and a leftover would have to leave. So if you put them both up, Monty says if one of them wins the power veto, we just put up a leftover as a pawn and then vote out Terrence or Alyssa, whichever one's on the block. Okay, so Turner talks about how scary it was to go up on the block last week. And again, he's saying, I think Terrence was trying to get information out of me by putting me up. Okay, so Monty says that Terrence should probably be the priority target this week. I mean, he would be fine with Alyssa going too, but excuse me, given the choice, he would rather take out Terrence first because Terrence has now shown he can win competitions. He's won a few now, and he's also unpredictable, right? He goes rogue. He does things that they do not expect him to do. They were not expecting him to put Turner up on the block next to Joseph last week as the initial nominees. So Monty is like, Terrence has to go. So then the feeds are down for the HOH competition, and Spoiler Girl was right. It was the tiny stacking one. So get your tweezers ready, hold your breath, because one big exhale and you're knocking all your stuff over. So Michael and Terrence were hosting this competition, and they were wearing like punk outfits and wigs. A lot of fun there. And we find out that Turn Daddy, won HOH. Oh my God. So this is his second HOH win. Pretty impressive. But like, should he have won? This is going to be an interesting and difficult week for Turner. How is he going to navigate this HOH? Because the leftovers are going to expect him to put up Terrence and Alyssa. And then the after party is going to expect him to put up Monty and Taylor and backdoor Michael. So those are vastly different plans here. There's no overlap there. So it's going to be very tricky for Turner to do this. I mean, he's going to be pissing somebody off, multiple people. So Michael and Taylor have a quick chat in the storage room after the competition, and they're wondering, is Turner going to put up Terrence and Alyssa or what? Michael says it would be really easy for Turner to nominate Terrence, considering Terrence just nominated him last week. You know, that's an easy excuse there. And it's going to be a little bit more difficult for him to put up Alyssa because those two are super tight. But Taylor says, I just literally want to go up to the HOH room later and ask, are we still leftovers? Like, what's the deal here? So Michael's like, yeah, we're going to have to check in, see what's up with everybody, make sure we're all good to go. Michael says as long as he puts up Terrence and Alyssa this week, we're good no matter what. We'll see. Okay, so a few minutes later, Taylor and Terrence are catching up in the storage room, and they're explaining their moves to each other. Taylor was a little bit nervous that Terrence was going to be pissed that Jasmine was evicted. So Taylor says, Jasmine had an alliance called Girls Girls, and I was excluded from that on purpose. So Terrence says, yeah, I heard about that. I get it. I know. And Taylor says, I had a feeling that you were going to put Kyle and Joseph up on the block. And Terrence says, I had to, because neither of them were really talking, and it just seemed really sketchy. And Terrence admits, I may regret it now, you know, considering who won HOH, but I did put Turner up with Joseph initially, because, again, the conversations were just not adding up. So Terrence explains when he won the power veto, he decided to take Turner off the block and put up Kyle in his place because he wanted to give himself a few days to kind of figure out what was going on. Not mentioned the wall yeller. That may have had something to do with it as well. Who knows? But Terrence says Kyle was his initial target. He was not. But then Joseph started talking in circles and saying stuff that wasn't adding up. And it made Terrence feel like there was something bigger going on in the house that needed to be broken up. So Taylor says, yeah, I get it. It sucks that they didn't get to say goodbye to Joseph. That's a bummer. But they agree. Now that Turner's HOH, anything can happen. Nobody knows what he's going to do. So, okay, Turner and Brittany are chatting in the car bedroom. And Brittany's asking Turner, how does it feel that you didn't have to spend this last week with Jasmine? And Turner says, he's all about it. He loves it. This is what he was wanting all along, and now Jasmine's out of here. So Brittany lets Turner know that Jasmine was talking shit about him all week long. So then Turner's like, oh, really? Like, what? Give me examples. And Brittany was like, I can't think of any right now. Awkward. But she says, other than that, like, Jasmine was on her best behavior last week. So the leftovers decided to sit her down and let her know that she was going. And Brittany was just recapping how they told her they knew about all of her different alliances, yada, yada, yada. we heard it all the first time, right? So Turner says, it's going to be pretty simple this week. And he tells Brittany, I put you and Michael up the last time I was HOH's pawns. I'm not going to do that again. Not doing it. He says, you're totally safe this week. You were the first person to come up to me and talk game with me, like, in this whole season, not just this week. And he tells Brittany, you have no idea how much that meant to me. You made me feel sane in those first few weeks. So Brittany then shares something new. She tells Turner, I recognized you from an article that I saw in the paper about your store, the Rug Shack. What? So then he's asking, like, where'd you see that? And then the feeds cut away. So we didn't get the full story there. But I do remember earlier in the season, Brittany kept telling people, like, oh, I know something about Turner, but, like, I can't say it right now. So I wonder how she, like, came across that paper, because I thought she said it was, like, pretty local. Because I don't think she lives, like, close to Turner, right? I don't know, but that's interesting. So then a few minutes later, Michael's chatting with Turner in the car bedroom, and Turner says, I already told Brittany this. Obviously, last time I was HOH, I put you both up as pawns, and I'm not doing that again. Not in a million years. And he's telling him the same thing that he told Brittany. Like, you guys were the first ones that came to talk to me in the beginning of the season, and blah, 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 all that. So then Turner is saying, out at Dyer Fest, we were all just sitting in silence for 8 hours a day. What? Let's not get too crazy here. I mean, it's possible that could have happened, like that when the feeds were down, when they were blasting the music out there, maybe they were told, like, if you start talking game, we have to turn the music off and, like, record this or whatever. I don't know, but that's just my thinking. But Turner says during that time, he was just thinking about how much he missed Michael and Brittany. He says he really appreciates the F out of them. They're totally fine this week. Nothing to worry about. Is this legit or not? Because, like, we're getting mixed messages here. Ugh, I'm, like, crawling out of my skin. Turner says he's really excited to have the gang back together. They can all hang out upstairs, minus Joseph, right? Whew. So, late last night, Turner got his HOH room. It was like 2:38 Big Brother time. Oh, my God. 2:38 a.m. And Turner got pictures of him with his girlfriend, Megan. There was a picture of young Turner with his mommy. His letter was from his mom, and Turner was crying so hard during this letter. He had a really hard time just getting through it. It was very, very sweet. And his dog said hi. Oh, that's so nice. So he also got a sweatshirt, new bandanas, a bucket hat, sunglasses, Red Bull, snacks. Everybody was excited about Mochi. So yeah, pretty good HOH basket. So all the house guests were hanging out in there until almost like 4 a.m. And then it was time for one-on-ones. People, it is 4 a.m. What are you doing? So first up was Kyle. Kyle had his one-on-one, and Kyle's like, what are you thinking? And Turner says, we need to make a decision that's going to help the two of us, because I don't care if you win every competition from here on out. I am taking you to the final two. Turner, no, don't do it. So Turner says, I'm really confused. I don't know what to do this week. You know, we got deals with, like, everybody at this point. So Kyle says, all right, let's break this down. It would be 4 versus 4 right now if we stick with the after party, which again is Kyle, Turner, Alyssa, and Terrence. And Kyle is saying, I think that's what we should do. I think we should stick with the after party. And Turner's like, all right, I hear what you're saying, but listen to this. Right after we came back into the house, Monty was asking me if the pound is still a thing. And again, the pound is that guys alliance. But now that Joseph's gone, it would just be Monty, Kyle, and Turner. So Turner told Monty, like, yeah, for sure, it's still on. So Turner says, when I came back in, I remembered how much I love the people who have kept us safe for so long. Turner saying, I did not want to win this competition, but I felt like I had to do it. Turner says, we've had like a month and a half of worry-free Big Brother. And that's because of the leftovers, right? So he doesn't really want to like turn on them right now. So Turner says, like you were saying, it can be 4 versus 4 right now if we work with the after party, or we can take out Terrence and Alyssa, and then in 2 weeks, it'll be 3 versus 3 with the leftovers. So if you stick with the leftovers, the split when they get to 6 would be Turner, Kyle, and Monty on one side, and then Michael, Brittany, and Taylor on the other side. So Turner brings up an important point here. Important. He says if we stick with the after party, we're going to be working with 2 people who are, let's face it, terrible in competitions. I mean, Terry won a few now. Like he's doing something, right? But Turner says we would be going up against competition powerhouses, right? And we would have to rely on ourselves to win all these comps because Alyssa and Terrence, that ain't it. So Turner is like, if we do go after Terrence and Alyssa this week, I would be the one taking the shot. I would be the one losing their jury votes. It wouldn't affect you as much, so you don't have to worry about that. So Kyle says it would affect me though, and he's pushing Turner to take the shot at Michael instead. I think I was trying to say this week and instead at the same time. So he wants Turner to take the shot at Michael instead this week, which is what the after party was planning going into this week. So Kyle says, my gut tells me that Michael, Brittany, Taylor, and Monty are a tight 4 now. They have been strategizing in here all week. They had it all sewn up that they were going to send Jasmine out. So they were just strategizing while Jasmine was sleeping all week. So if we can, on the flip side, get to the final 4 with Alyssa and Terrence, we're going to be golden. We'll beat them in the competitions. We'll go to the final 2 like we're planning. But Turner is just not confident that Alyssa and Terrence can win any competitions to help them get there. So it sounds like this HOH competition was a huge wake-up call for Turner because apparently Alyssa sucked at it. And Turner says, I cannot put my faith in that group. Right? I mean, she must have really been bad in this comp. But Kyle brings up that he's not happy that Michael picked Taylor and Monty over him for Brochella last week. And it's really confusing him why Michael picked the people that he did. And he just makes him think that they're all working together. And Kyle says, I just don't feel close with Monty at this point. Like, do I trust him if we're going to continue working together? And Turner's like, I've got some information to share with Monty, and I want to see how he reacts to it. He wants to tell Monty how Joseph was saying that Michael, Brittany, and Taylor are all working together and that they wanted Joseph to join them in an alliance of 4. So Kyle is insisting, like, Michael, Brittany, and Taylor, they need to be split up. One of them needs to go this week. He says, Taylor hates me. She's going to target me if she wins HOH. So Kyle then comes up with an idea. He's proposing that they take a shot at Michael this week and try to pull Monty over to their side. So taking a number out from the other side, but really taking 2 because you're also bringing Monty over to your own side. So Turner says, yeah, that's a great plan in theory, but probably not realistic. So yeah, Kyle is saying he really wants to push to Monty that Michael and Brittany are playing both sides. He wants to bring up Taylor's HOH week, how, there was a lot of confusion over where people stood on the POV issue. Did they want Kyle to use the veto and put up Alyssa? Did they want Kyle to leave nominations the same and keep Alyssa safe? There were a lot of mixed messages there, a lot of people playing both sides. Brittany and Michael, especially, they were completely non-committal when they were in front of the whole group. When they were talking to Kyle, they were like, let's keep Alyssa. So anyway, Kyle's really pushing that they should keep Alyssa and Terrence safe this week and target Michael. Okay, so Turner continues with his one-on-one conversations. And when Turner talks to Terrence and Alyssa, he makes it sound to both of them like he's still planning on putting up 2 Brochella peeps. But from what we've seen in these conversations so far, it definitely seemed like Turner was leaning towards putting up Terrence and Alyssa. Because then Brittany has her one-on-one with Turner, and they agree they just trust each other a ton. Again, Brittany is one of the first people that talked game with Turner, so there is a bond there. So Turner says, I really don't want there to be a gap between the Brochella leftovers and the Dyer leftovers. I want to bring us all together again. So Turner says there is no world where he's putting up 2 leftovers this week. He wants the next 2 weeks to be easy for them. Just take out Terrance and Alyssa, and then they can move from there. So Turner reveals, hey, let's be real. He had to make promises to Alyssa and Terrance for safety last week. He told them that they would be safe just so he could make it through last week. And he says, I will be going back on those promises. I'm probably going to automatically lose 2 jury votes, from Alyssa and Terrance because they are not expecting to go up this week. So Turner says, since I'm making the sacrifice, maybe could I not be the first to go from the leftovers when we get to the final 6? And Brittany's like, yeah, I'm good with that. You don't have to worry about that with me. So then Turner has his one-on-one with Monty, and they are saying that they both still want to work with the Pound Alliance, meaning Kyle. And Turner brings up how Joseph was saying that Taylor, Michael, and Brittany wanted to pull him into a 4. This was during Taylor's HOH week. And Monty's like, all right, I got to tell you some stuff. Monty is talking about Taylor's HOH week, how Michael and Brittany were playing both sides. They were telling Kyle one thing and the rest of the leftovers something else, and it was very sketchy. So Monty also reveals that Taylor, Michael, and Brittany have been saying that Kyle and Turner should be the first to go from the leftovers. And they were saying, if anything sketchy happens at Dyer Fest and Alyssa stays this week, then they would be making a move on Turner and Kyle after that. So Monty says, I was just going along with it. Sure. But Monty's also saying, Michael, Brittany, and Taylor, we had never really had any discussions beyond Final 7 before last week. But now they're approaching me about going to Final 4 together and all this stuff. So, Turner's putting that away for later. So then they're talking about what they think should happen this week. And all that being said, Monty is still I think Terrance should go this week. He still wants to get the leftovers to the final 6, and then they can start making moves on each other. So Monty says, we don't know where Terrance's head is at. I mean, you saw what happened when he was HOH last week. Plus, Terrance is better at competitions than Alyssa. So they agree it would be ideal for them if Terrance could go this week and then Michael wins HOH next week and takes out Alyssa. That would set them up for 3 versus 3 within the leftovers. And then Michael wouldn't be able to play HOH the following week. They can take him out and then they can move forward. So, sounds like they've got it all figured out, right? All right. So then Turner also has brief conversations with Michael and then Taylor. I'm just going to lump these together because he said pretty much the same stuff. Turner was telling them both he is with the leftovers until he dies. And he lets them both know, like he said to Brittany, that he had to make safety deals with Terrance and Alyssa last week. He hopes they're not going to hold that the leftovers are not going to hold that against him when that information does come out. But because he says he's going back on those deals, he's going to lose 2 jury votes when he puts up Terrance and Alyssa. If he puts up Terrance and Alyssa. Okay, so this morning, Kyle is in that HOH room first thing to talk to Turner. I think it was 7:30 in the morning, Big Brother time. And he's asking Turner, what are your thoughts now that you've talked to everybody? And Turner says, well, I've got some information for you. Monty let me know that Taylor, Michael, and Brittany tried to make a Final 4 with him last week. And Kyle's like, bro, did he really say that? Bro. So they agree. Hearing all this information from Monty, they trust him 1,000,000%. They are comfortable moving forward with him. Taylor, Michael, and Brittany, not so much. So Kyle says, I think that Michael knows about the Pound, and that could be why Taylor, Michael, and Brittany are all working together, because they know that they the founders of the Leftovers Alliance, you know? Yeah, Michael knows about it because you told him about it a few weeks ago. I love how Kyle, like, will plant this information and then be like, I think this person knows this. They know this. Yeah, you told him. But anyway, he says Michael is smart enough to piece it all together. So then Kyle says, you know, Michael has talked to me about taking big shots before we get to the 7. So he's talked about like taking out Monty. Michael told Terrence that he was going to take that shot at Monty last week. Kyle is definitely leaving out here that a lot of those conversations with Michael were like Kyle bringing it up first and saying he wanted to take a big shot at the 7 first. But like, he's leaving that part out, obviously. So Kyle says, my gut tells me that Michael will come after us if he wins HOH next week. He's not going to go after that last person left out of the Leftovers Alliance, as I say, left-siders. So Kyle says, if Monty really is with us, with the Pound, he should have no problem with us putting up Taylor and Brittany this week and backdooring Michael. So Kyle says, we can deal with Terrence and Alyssa down the road. Sure you will. He says, they're no threat to us. Do you think Monty would be open to that? So Kyle says, if we go against Alyssa and Terrence, it's going to be really bad for us. Everything that happened last week is going to come out. They're going to spill it all. So not only will Alyssa and Terrence be pissed at us for going against our word, but the Leftovers will be done with us too, because they'll hear everything that Kyle did last week. So Kyle says, if we take out Michael, on the other hand, Monty's going to have no choice but to be on board with us. We're still going to be good with Alyssa and Terrence. So we can add another number to our 4 and make it a 5. So Turner admits at this point he is now leaning towards Kyle's plan of targeting Michael. Oh my goodness. So then the feeds went down for a while this morning while the house guests got either a new dishwasher or their dishwasher fixed. And they also got the smaller dining room table. Oh my God, milestone. So then the Pound meets in the HOH room around 10:30 a.m. Turner, Kyle, and Monty. Excuse me. And they are comparing notes. Lots of talk about Taylor's HOH week and how Michael and Brittany were playing the middle that week. Monty is sharing how Michael and Brittany were the ones convincing everyone else at first that Alyssa should be the one to go up and out as the replacement nominee. And Kyle says, that's really interesting because Michael was the one that came to me and warned me that the Leftovers were going to pitch that Alyssa should be the new target. Oh, snap. So it's all coming out now against Michael. Oof. Michael and Brittany were really doing too much that week. I knew that was going to happen. So they talk about how Michael and Brittany were then silent when they all talked about it at the pool table as a group. They were not making their opinion known. And Kyle says that was really a red flag for him. He feels like they set him up. And Kyle says, after I didn't use the power of veto, Michael and Brittany came to me and they thanked me and said that we're going to need Alyssa as a number moving forward. So they wanted me to do that. So Kyle says, also, Joseph told me before he left that Michael, I'm so sorry, that Michael, Brittany, and Taylor are a thing and that they are playing all of the rest of us. So, oof, this is not looking good for Michael and Brittany. Oh my God. So Monty says, the telltale sign for him that something was up was when Michael picked Monty for Brochella over Kyle. Because Monty is saying, if Michael was so concerned about Kyle and Alyssa being together, why would he not pick Kyle and split them up? It just didn't make sense. So Monty is letting Kyle know how Michael, Brittany, and Taylor were coming for Kyle hard last week, talking about how Kyle and Turner would have been the first to go from the Leftovers, especially if Alyssa ended up staying, which she did. So this all goes on for a while. And these 3 agree. Michael, Brittany, and Taylor need to be split up. One of them needs to leave this week. And they all agree as well that Michael is the biggest threat to win this whole thing. He is so good at competition, so smart. So the plan is basically what the after party was planning, but now Monty's in on it. The plan is to put up Taylor and Brittany, hope that Michael doesn't get picked to play for the veto, and backdoor Michael and get him out of here. And if they can't get Michael this week, if he wins the veto or if the nominations end up staying the same, they're going to take out either Brittany or Taylor. Damn. Okay, so after Kyle and Turner chat alone and they agree, that conversation with Monty went incredibly well. They're very happy with it. They feel like they can trust Monty 1,000,000,000%. Turner thinks we should probably loop him in to that group with Terrence and Alyssa, the after party, get him on board with that. Kyle's suggesting maybe they do it a little differently. Give Monty some info about what went down last week and let him make amends with Terrence and Alyssa himself, so it's maybe a little more organic. So Kyle's asking, like, do we let Monty know that we spilled beans about the leftovers last week? Turner says, well, we can blame it on Joseph. He's not here anymore. And Kyle's like, I don't know. I got to think about it. They did discuss it again later, and I think Kyle is planning on telling Monty that he spilled the beans about the leftovers last week. And they're going to, I think, pull him aside after the nomination ceremony tonight and tell him about that. I'm curious to see how Monty is going to react to this, because I feel like, wouldn't he be pissed about that? You'd think, right? But I don't know if that would be enough to make him change his mind about taking out Michael this week. I don't see how it would, but I feel like he would probably be pissed. I don't know. So anyway, nominations are supposed to be happening later. Turner, not only is Turner planning to put up Taylor and Brittany now, but he is going to blindside them. He's not telling them ahead of time. Oh my God, this is going to be so messy after he already told them that they're safe this week. But not only did he tell Brittany that she's safe, but he was like really laying it on thick about how he trusts her so much. She's good with him. She's one of the first people that talk game with him. So like, I feel like this week is going to be a disaster. It's going to be so messy. Hi!
Oh, hi.
Hello. So if you want to check back later, I will post the nominees in the info for the spoiler.
Ready for my camera.
Yes. Oh, hello, Grandma.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I want to thank all of our super chatters because you're all amazing. This was a long spoiler. I'm parched. John S., thank you so much for your super chat. Michelle, thank you so much for the super chat. Michelle says, spill the tea, Maddie. Lol. I hope I spilled all the tea for you.
It's soaking wet in here.
Yeah. Christian Torres, thank you so much for the super chat. Christian says, caught the live. Woo! I can't believe Monty turned on Taylor a second time after they bonded. I know. Turner and Monty have both disappointed me. Please vote Kyle or Alyssa. Send them home. I know. Seriously, how are they still keeping the showmance in the game? It's absolutely mind-blowing to me. I guess they just figure Alyssa is like so lame at this point, but you never know when somebody could win a crapshoot HOH. Also, she's just an extra vote for Kyle at the very least. That's dangerous. I'm really surprised at Monty because it did seem like he was genuinely bonding with Taylor, Michael, and Brittany, but maybe he just figured he was number 4 in that group, so he didn't want to stick around with that.
If Alyssa and Kyle were in the final 2, who would win?
I would say Kyle.
Really?
Yeah. What did Alyssa do to deserve a win?
But she's so well liked.
I don't get it. I don't find her likable. But anyway, I guess it's different if you're actually in the house. Sammy Ricketts, thank you so much for your super chat. Sammy says, nothing to say, but cool shirt. Thank you. This shirt is in support of Farm Sanctuary. They're awesome if you want to check out the work they do online.
It's Benedict, the wheelchair goat.
Yes, he is a sweetheart. Thank you again to Sammy. Sean Davis, thank you so much for the super chat. I hope you had fun at the live show.
Sounds like it.
Sean says, I always knew Turner was a snake in the grass. Oh. Everyone in the audience was upset when we saw Joseph getting attacked by the lame after party. When did Alyssa get a backbone with Joseph when Kyle had been lying to her? I know, the way that she snapped at Joseph killed me. When Kyle has done so much worse and she's just like, I'm angry at you. too much. Vajra, thank you so much for the super chat. And Vajra says, went to see The Invitation. Oh, I keep seeing the commercials for that. It was a so-so movie, but Natalie Emmanuel was definitely the best part. I mean, she was great on Game of Thrones, right? Fun to see her in a leading role, and she was able to kick some vampire butt in the end. Very cool. Yeah, every time I see the commercials, I'm like, oh, that's the movie that they tied into the show. So I'm glad you had a good time, even though it was only so-so. Shane Wright, thank you so much for the super chat. Flower Power Resists, thank you so much. And they asked, what do you think of Daniel trolling and taunting BB fans? Do you think Nicole got in his head after he was evicted? Initially, he seemed sorry. I'm not surprised that he's acting this way. I mean, we saw his true colors in the house, and they weren't that great. They weren't that pretty. It seemed like, yeah, I think he was worried about getting canceled. That's why when he was in his interviews and everything, he was like, oh, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah.
I need to review this.
Yeah.
With a pen and paper.
But it seems like ever since he met up with Paloma, everything has reignited. He's being a turd again. So I don't know. That could have something to do with it. I think they've kind of fanned their own flames, and it's a little bit of an echo chamber with those two.
A little bit irrelevant.
Yeah. So
who cares?
Yeah, I mean, that could be part of it too. He's trying to stay relevant. Who knows? But it is sad to see. Sad to see people act that way when they are, I mean, that advanced in their years, especially, right? He's no spring chicken. But anyway, Lori McIntyre, thank you so much for the super chat. William Dang, thank you so much for the super chat. And William says, Maddie, do you think Michael will be savvy enough to avoid being backdoored when Brittany and Taylor will be on the block blindsided? I think that Michael will probably suspect that something's up when Brittany and Taylor go up. I don't know if he's going to be able to avoid it. I mean, I think at this point, it's inevitable unless he wins the veto.
That would be best case scenario.
You want Michael to win the veto?
I mean, for him.
Oh, yeah. Because I think if he doesn't win it, he's going to be in trouble.
If he wins it, he could save himself and Brittany.
Yeah, and then they're saying that Taylor would go in that case. So, dang. I don't know. It's going to be a messy, messy week. Catherine, thank you so much for the super chat. And Catherine says, the season is slowly dying. Taylor is in danger. Yeah, it's looking like not good this week for, I mean, I think it's going to be entertaining as hell, but it's also going to be kind of difficult to watch. I don't know. It's hard when, like, the jerks are in power. I'm not saying that Turner's a jerk, but to me at this point, if you're aligned with, like, Kyle and Alyssa, why? But yeah. Dane Thomas, thank you so much for the super chat. Dane says, production has found a way to shake up these large alliances with the plot twist. Totally flipped the game. It really has flipped the game. I do think that they should try this twist again in the future with some changes. I think it has a lot of potential. But, you know, we've already talked before about what I think was wrong with this twist. But I do think it has strong bones. So
good bones?
It's got good bones. So, all right.
Put some lipstick on it.
Yeah, don't forget to check back later. I will be posting the nominees in the info for the spoiler, and we'll be back tomorrow. We're gonna have reactions to the nominations. We're gonna have the POV competition. So there's gonna be lots to talk about. So let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments. I hope y'all have a great Friday night. And until tomorrow, much love. Bye. Bye, Bowie. Bye.
Said I was good.